Okay, welcome to Don't Mind Me, I'm Different, the podcast where we smack down the shadow surrounding ADHD and depression in the workplace. I'm Ron, your ADHD guy, and I'm here to be your guide, your voice, and your reminder that you're not alone. I got your back. Each episode will unpack the real struggles, share powerful tools, and build strategies to help you stop seeing it as a problem, but a true force to be reckoned with. Together, we're making it cool to be different. Hey there, my ADHD explorers. I'm Ron Souers, your ADHD guy. And welcome back to Don't Mind Me, I'm Different. In this episode, we're diving deep into a topic that's often tossed around but rarely felt. Mindfulness. Not the vague kind, not the Instagrammy kind, but the kind that brings you a real change in how you see yourself. We'll explore what mindfulness really means, why it matters for ADHD and depression, and how science backs it all up. From the autopilot mind to the monkey brain, from a deep dive into literally brain-changing research, we'll explore why mindfulness isn't just about awareness. It's about a powerful shift in how you relate to yourself and with the world around you. Stick with me until the end. I promise it's worth every breath. Hey there, my beautifully different brains. Welcome back to Don't Mind Me, I'm Different. I'm Ron Souers, your ADHD guy. Your guide through the fog of overthinking and the chatter of the mind. And today, we're slipping into something cozy. Not robes and slippers, but a mindset. One that feels like soaking your toes in a warm bubble bath after a long, loud day. Mindfulness. What? Mindfulness? Yeah, I know. I know what you're thinking. Now, mindfulness, we talked about that a little bit in the last episode. But today we're going to go a little bit deeper. What does it actually mean? Most people will probably tell you it's being present. And while that's not wrong, it just doesn't feel like it fits. It's like pretty vague. So today, we're going to tell a story about what mindfulness really is, how science backs it up, and why it might be the one thing that can pull you out of the autopilot haze and help you live your life with your eyes wide open. But first, let me tell you about my day. So, I got up today and I did my walk, and I actually just didn't know what I was going to make this whole episode about. You know, I do this morning walk every day. But today was, a little bit different. Like, there was a lot of energy going on. There was like this unusual feeling of that I was behind for some reason or whatever that may be. And, I set the intention. I was like, no, we're not going to even think about that. This is your walk. This is your day. This is your moment to just be in the present moment. Listen to the birds. And I've only been able to get that way by taking that walk and intentionally listening to the birds, and not feeling anything, not feeling connected, not understanding what is even the value of the present moment. But through that practice, like, I've been able to feel like an absolute well, not an absolute, but like a very deep connection with the world that I'm living in. And that's huge. Like, that's something that I've never been able to feel. Like, I've always been, either thinking about what I need to do or what I haven't done. Like as if those moments are going to be better, if I get this or if I get that. And I understand, like, that's completely normal for most people. But it's like, it's something that has been such a powerful shift in my life, is like just listening to the birds and saying hi, or feeling my feet on the ground, and that connection. Like, I'm actually a part of the world. Because what I've been able to understand from all of that is, like, if you can't enjoy the present moment, and I know that may be hard because I was there, like, what's the value in this moment? It's boring, right? But like, if you can't enjoy this moment, what makes you think that you'll be able to enjoy any other moment? Something to think about. It's about more than just awareness. Mindfulness is often summed up as awareness, but the real definition comes from John Kabat-Zinn, who describes it as paying attention on purpose, in the present moment, and without judgment. Sounds simple, right? But practicing it, that's a whole journey in of itself. In an attempt to consolidate this thinking and to offer direction for the future study of mindfulness, a diverse team of mindfulness scholars and researchers gathered to review previous work on mindfulness and proposed a consensual, operational definition of mindfulness. Ooh, sounds very high tech. They gave mindfulness two powerful ingredients. The first one, self-regulation of attention. The second part, an attitude of curiosity, openness, and acceptance. There we go with that acceptance. Think about that. Not just focusing, but focusing with compassion, and not just noticing, but noticing with curiosity and acceptance. In fact, the acronym COAL, it's COAL, sums it up beautifully. Curiosity, openness, acceptance, love. It's something that I would dare you to try in your daily life. Give it some time and see how it feels, like you've stepped into a whole nother world. If you live with ADHD, depression, or chronic distraction, you know this. The mind is rarely still. Your brain loops. It revisits old wounds. It fixates on fears of the future. And sometimes it talks so loudly, you forget you're even here, in this body, in this moment. You don't even know what is really going on. Mindfulness isn't something that makes the noise just magically disappear. It just helps you listen to it in a whole different way. A powerful perspective shift. And science agrees. Mindfulness has been shown to help with emotional regulation, cognitive flexibility, stress and anxiety reduction, depression, self-compassion, and awareness. And what? It even changes the brain structure over time. It's not woo-woo. It's biology. And it works. It's about seeing and experiencing ourselves in a different way. William James, sometimes referred to as the grandfather of positive psychology, compared the human stream of consciousness to the life of a bird that includes flights and perching. The perching are the present moments, and the flights are the spaces between the perches that are not accessible. So what does all this mean? The present moment is highly transient, and at the same time, it's vitally important. There is always a brief opportunity to make the most of something, to engage in it now. And at the same time, when one realizes that moment is gone, one is in another moment to cherish, to use consciously, or to simply be connected with. So let's take this moment together to connect to this present moment. So breathe with me. Deep. Exhale. One more time. Exhale. You're doing great. Not only did we connect to that moment, we connected with each other. That's awesome. In a world where every second counts, our brains are built for autopilot. We walk, scroll, eat, even drive without truly being there. Kind of scary, right? You ever drove past your exit that you take every day and wondered, what just happened? How did I even miss that? Research shows we process about 126 pieces of information per second. That's a lot of options for where we can potentially bring our attention to. However, most of that flies by unnoticed, and for good reason, because our brains would probably explode from the information overload. Csikszentmihalyi adds that the majority of our thoughts are the same as they were yesterday. Thus, our habitual mind is simply recycling old thoughts, difficult interactions, painful memories, and trivial experiences. Here's a quote that hit me hard from one of my favorites. Some people die at 25 and aren't buried until 75. That's Benjamin Franklin, my dog. Mind wandering is not without its risks. When we are mindless and lost in our thinking, we lose touch with our internal and external environment. Two things often result. One, we miss the details. In many instances, the positives of life. Two, we miss opportunities to grow or challenge ourselves. In a study by Killingsworth and Gilbert in 2010, they concluded that a human mind is a wandering mind, and a wandering mind is an unhappy mind. The ability to think about what is not happening is a cognitive achievement that comes at an emotional cost. This is where it gets complicated, though, because our autopilot mind isn't all negative. We should actually be humbled by it, attempt to be acutely aware of it, and even praise it. We are able to operate heavy machinery, figure out complex tasks, perform many tasks at once, persevere on projects, and accomplish many things in our daily life because of our autopilot. Indeed, it's hard to imagine our lives without it. Existing without living. That's the real risk of autopilot. And that's where mindfulness comes in. It's the wake-up call, the pause, back to the breath, the whisper that says, you're here, you're alive, and you don't want to miss this. And that's like the autopilot mind. Have you heard of that term?
No, I haven't actually.
Yeah, it's actually like what we do, like when we drive, when we eat, when we walk, when we're doing something that's like doesn't take a lot of, like, we've done it so many different times. So it's like our brain is so amazing in that capacity that it's like a pilot in the sky. Like our brain just, you've ever like driven past your exit and you're like, what happened? Yeah, but you're still safe.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's kind of scary, but it's also like, it's very beneficial, but it's about like understanding that you can miss out on life if you are consumed by that autopilot, and being able to like break from that, is a huge thing in my life, like, because for me it was like the present moment is pretty boring. But like once I've started doing it, it was like, I feel like if you can't enjoy the moment now, what makes you think you can enjoy any other moment?
That's a really good point. Focusing more on what we have in the present moment.
Yeah, and what we have just right now, and being happy with that, is huge. We're just existing.
No, yeah, that sounds really interesting, thinking about it in that way, especially after what we were talking about earlier with like the whole mindfulness thing. So,
yeah.
Like the strength-based approaches with like even just being intentional about what you're doing and like figuring out what that means.
Like not really there.
Not being more in the present.
Yeah.
I think that's a very I've never really heard of the autopilot.
Yeah, autopilot.
So, I mean, it gives rise, I guess, to a lot of like how do I say it? Like, it's not really a distraction, but like it's just something like you turn your mind off while you're doing a certain routine task, right? If I understand it correctly.
Yeah.
And I mean, I can see why like it's important for people to understand about this condition, because you want to be able to like understand that like sometimes it's not that they are not listening to you speak, or like they are not listening to like the things you're saying, but it's just that their minds are not there and they are not able to control it.
Yeah, the mind's not being trained to like be able to be in the present moment. It's almost like a wild animal, that's like literally.
I guess more so, less so of wild animal, and perhaps instinct. Like it's more instinctual than a certain way of like thinking or processing, right? And I guess that's the main difference that these ADHD, the people with ADHD have like these challenges, but I guess in some way it's also beneficial in some sense, right?
Yeah.
They are able to maybe multitask more efficiently as well.
Yeah, it has its moments, and it's not like, okay, we can't ever be on autopilot. But the thing is, like, we don't engage in the conversations which affects the connections that we have.
That you forge.
And we also, like, the thoughts that we tell ourselves, we can't slow down enough to realize, like, that maybe what we're telling ourselves isn't actually the truth. Maybe what we think about who we are needs to be analyzed, and we can't analyze that when we're rushing, when that autopilot is just always on. So it's about having a balance between the present moment, returning to the present moment, and that autopilot when we need it.
Thank you for telling me about this. I think it's important for me to learn about it as well.
Integral.
Yeah. I remember there was this thing they mentioned. they used to make castles with different size steps to confuse and trick the enemy, because you kind of go on autopilot. After like 6 or 7 steps, your brain imprints a pattern, right? Yeah. They would make them in larger steps so people couldn't actually.
That's cool. Yeah, that's crazy that they knew about that back then. Yeah, it's like you enjoy the first couple bites and then you're like, okay, I need to look at my phone now.
Yeah.
Psychologists call it the monkey mind. Our tendency to swing from thought to thought, restless, distracted, never grounded, only in the constant swinging from branch to branch. Mindfulness isn't about quieting the monkey or putting him in a cage. It's about watching him, smiling at him, saying, I see you, buddy. I'm not following you right now. And over time, that watching becomes a skill, a real strength. We start to recognize thoughts as thoughts, feelings, mental events, not truths. They don't have to define who we really are. This is called decentering, and it's one of the most powerful gifts of mindfulness. It's not about changing what you think. It's about changing how you relate to those thoughts, because that's all they really are, and you can always challenge them. I know for a fact this has been one of the biggest things, the biggest game changers in my life. You know, the ability to look and question the validity of what the stories that my mind is telling me. Researcher Ruth Baer outlines some of the reasons mindfulness is so powerful. This is the science. Exposure. Sitting with fear instead of fleeing from it. Being with that fear helps to create an opportunity for change, to explore it through non-judgmental observation. This is particularly important for anxiety conditions. I know for me, what really helps is actually like when I'm feeling afraid or feeling anger, like I question, what am I really afraid of? Where is this actually coming from? I see it as an opportunity to understand myself deeper. Cognitive change. Seeing thoughts as temporary, not absolute. Fostering a non-judgmental acceptance and metacognition, which is thinking about your thinking. Crazy, right? This is particularly important in depression and eating disorders. I know for me, this has really helped as seeing those thoughts. Like, if I have the thought that I'm not good enough because somebody's not calling me or somebody's not checking up on me. Yeah, that's a legitimate reason, but is it true? Is it really true that I'm not good enough? I can ask that. And if there's no evidence to support that, I can see that as just thought. It's not an absolute. Self-management. Replacing self-criticism with self-care. This is critically important for depression. And I know for me, with self-regulation, you know, and continuing to be kind to myself by doing things and saying it's okay to feel that way, even if it's depression, you know, it's okay. That's what you're feeling right now. Let's explore where this is coming from and then ask those questions. Relaxation. Letting go physically and mentally. Physiological relaxation. Slowing down. This is particularly helpful for stress and worry. I know this has a deep impact on my life. I've been slowing things down for a long time, and it was one of the first things that my therapist had suggested to me, and meditation takes it. Mindfulness takes it that much further, because like I'm able to like create this space, and when I have those formal practices of mindfulness for like 5, 10, 15 minutes before work, that is like key. It just really helps change the dynamic of my day. Emotional regulation, feeling without overreacting. This involves not trying to decrease or change emotions, but increasing awareness and acceptance of emotions as they come, thereby decreasing emotional reactivity and promoting responsiveness. This is huge. Like, I've tried to fight these emotions or ignore them or deny them, and that never works. I can't control what I'm feeling. I can only look at it and not be like, well, I'm feeling this again. Having that exploratory mindset of like, well, where is this coming from? What is this telling me? And self-compassion, meeting yourself with warmth instead of judgment, involves taking a kind and friendly approach to oneself that manifests as love, understanding, and gentleness. A study of MBSR, which is mindfulness-based stress reduction and waitlist control, also found mindfulness and self-compassion to be key processes of change. Kang, 2012. This is huge, and I'm going to go more into kindness and that kindness movement that I really want to get started. We need to get together and teach each other how to be more kind, whether that's, giving somebody a compliment or, writing yourself a thank you note or whatever that looks like, or giving yourself, a chance, a guilt-free nap, whatever that looks like. And I would love to hear if you've got any incredible ways that you've been kind, because this world needs a lot more kindness and self-compassion. And neuroscientists, they've seen actual changes in attention, memory, and even brain structure in people who practice regularly. This isn't just about feeling better. It's about functioning better in your work, your relationships, and your sense of self. So what mindfulness really has to offer? Mindfulness is a challenge, even for those well practiced in it. Don't get it twisted. So let me leave you with this. Mindfulness isn't about becoming perfect. It's not about silence or stillness or Zen vibes 24/7. If it was, I wouldn't do it. That's not my style. It's about being alive in the moment, experiencing the fullness of it. It's about knowing you're here right now. It's about making space between stimulus and response, between breath and reaction, between flight and perch, where your most authentic self can step forward. And for those of us with busy brains, heavy hearts, or tender pasts, that space might just be where the healing begins. So take one breath right now and know this: You're not behind. You're not broken. You're simply becoming more aware of who you really are. And that is just the beginning of everything. So, if you're ready to bring mindfulness into your life in a way that actually fits your brain, or you want to help become more pro-social and connected, head over to youradhdguy.com. You'll find tools, support, and a free coaching call waiting for you to get started. And thanks for sharing this moment with me. I'm Ron, your ADHD guy, and I'll meet you right back here next week with warmth, curiosity, and hey, maybe even a donut. So, may the source be with you, and take care.
I don't know, that makes me think of like the whole autopilot thing that you were talking about again.
Yeah.
Focusing on the same things that you usually do and like just not really paying a lot of attention, I guess, to other things outside of that. I don't know, and I feel like something that I've had to make peace with as like someone who has ADHD and like is just neurodivergent in general. It's just like making peace with the fact that like I do have my own timeline, you know?
Yeah.
And like sure like I have had opportunities that I did not take. But that doesn't mean that like I can't